Hi
Hi,
guys,
guys.
welcome back to Bar Exam. It's your girl, Allie Rayner, here as your host, but I am not alone. I am here with the Bar Exam crew. We have Shane G in the building. What's up, Shane?
Year
You're
going.
good, good. And then we also have Mr. Eric G in the building as well. What's
What's
up?
good? What's good? What's good?
Now, today we are discussing a few updates that have been happening with the whole Sean Combs situation. So let me do this correctly. Coming before the bar this week, we are discussing the Sean Combs hotel video, and we are talking about Biggie's heavenly birthday today. He would have turned 52 years old. So we definitely have to examine some of our favorite bars from the late great Biggie. So let's get into it, guys. We have to talk about the Sean Combs situation, the whole video with him and Cassie in the hotel. Apparently, he paid like $50,000 so that this would never see the light of day, and somehow it still came out. What do you guys, how did you guys feel when you saw it?
Eric, I'm gonna let you go first. I have a lot to say.
Um, so I wasn't. I guess you can say I wasn't surprised, but the only reason I really say that is because nothing really that comes out these days about any of these big celebrities surprises me anymore. That's just the honest truth of what
Yeah.
it is. Like, we've seen way too many examples from too many people who were, looked at as, saints or people that were, big influencers who had these, bigger than life images of themselves. And we've seen time and time again that, they have done one foul thing or another behind closed doors. So for this to have taken place the way that it did, I'm not surprised in the way like that it came out. I'm more so surprised in his initial reaction to this when the lawsuit first came up because of how hard he was defending himself. And I guess that just kind of goes to show like when you like really go super hard for something and like you already look kind of funny in the light, like it's when the truth comes out, it's even more damning. So I was absolutely disgusted by it. I think it was complete. Like just seeing the image of her curling up and like just you could tell that she had been in that situation before, which is why seeing it was so fucked up. So I know like you guys will have more to elaborate on that because you guys are a little older than me and have seen more shit than me. But just still, just being a 31-year-old man, that shit is not cool at all. And you know, I have family members of mine that I love dearly, and I would never want anything like this to happen to them. So, just to see something like that just play out like that, it was gross.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It was really, really hard to watch. And it was really shocking when you go back to what he said in his initial statement, saying that everything in the lawsuit was an attack to his character and his legacy, and how it's just completely not true and enough is enough. It's just a money grab. And, I totally expect him to have PR and stuff and to have statements put out, but to have gone that far with it and to really deny these type of claims and then for this to come out, it's like, how can we trust you? So anyway, that's just how I feel a little bit about it, but I definitely want to hear from Shane. So Shane, let us know, how did you feel about this video?
So I'm happy the video came out because I gotta backtrack a little bit. Me and Eric's mom is an abuse victim from her stepfather. You know what I'm saying? I don't know this nigga. I never met this nigga. He died before I don't know if he died before I was born or if I was just so young that I don't have any memory of him. But I know that she dealt with that growing up. You know what I'm saying? My grandma, her mom, dealt with abuse from the same man. You know what I'm saying? Which eventually turned her into an alcoholic, which killed her. You know what I'm saying? The alcoholism killed her. That was a direct result of the abuse. So seeing it and hearing about it is two totally different things. I've heard the horror stories, you know what I'm saying? I've talked to my mom about the how she grew up a lot. And she's giving me detail, and it's imagining something and like kind of putting the pieces together in your head is one thing, but then when you actually get to see what it looks like on camera, it puts it in a totally different perspective. So it's almost like my hatred for abusers got reignited all over again when I actually saw the video. Because of a few different reasons. One, she was running away from this nigga. She was clearly trying to get out of whatever the situation was. It looked like he was in a bath towel. He wasn't even wearing like a robe. He was wearing a bath towel, which says to me, she waited till this nigga got in the shower and tried to sneak out the hotel room, and he somehow figured it out. That's what that tells me. So she was doing everything she could to get out of the situation. He stops her from leaving, beats her ass in the hallway, like super aggressively, like if she was a op. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I looked at that. Like, he beat her like somebody who caught their op would beat him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was way over the top. And then, at the end of the video, he's throwing shit at her. So all of the whole during his apology, when he's like, "Oh, I was disgusted at myself then when I did it." No, you weren't, nigga, because you continued the action. This was like a 5-minute ordeal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could see if y'all arguing back and forth, she says some shit, you smack her and immediately regret it. Like, I'm not saying that that's cool, but I could see you being disgusted with yourself in the moment if it happened like that. That's not how this happened. You dragged her, threw her on the ground, stomped her out, and then, like Eric mentioned, she just laid there and took it. That lets you know that she was just waiting for it to be over because she's been there before. So that was crazy to me, because then that puts me in the mindset of like, is that what my grandma was doing? Is that what my mom was doing when she was a kid? Like, just lay there, take it until it's over. Like, is that, you get what I'm saying? It puts you in such a weird mindset when you know people personally who have, been through it. And, as far as Sean, like the apology, it's like, who are you apologizing to? Because you didn't apologize to Cassie in that video. So, like, are you apologizing to the fans? Like, well, we don't need your apology. We don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't do nothing to us. You did something to her and probably a bunch of other women. Like, because that's another piece of it. Like, that was a public hotel. Like, it wasn't the lobby, like the main floor lobby. I'm sure it was in the penthouse or wherever the fuck, but other people are still up there. There was other doors. That whole floor wasn't Diddy's or Sean's, you know what I'm saying? So there's just a lot there that he just looked super comfortable doing it. He didn't think twice about it. He felt like there was going to be no consequences, and there weren't for 8 years now. And I believe it's past the statute of limitations, so he can't get legally in trouble for it. But what it does do is it negates everything else that he ever said about, oh, I didn't do any of this stuff. Well, we see you on video doing one of the worst things that she, said that you did, which is abuse her. So now I believe everything. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I didn't or did before, but I'm an evidence, like, let it play out kind of guy. Now I believe everything that she was saying. So it's like, shout out to everybody who's ever been through anything like this. I think it's really important for men to speak out when shit like this happens and condemn it, especially men like us, because, again, not just our mom, but, a lot of hosts on this channel, OTI, they're all women. Allie's a woman, you know what I mean? Represent Bar Exam here. We have A Trip to Venus, you know what I mean? Both of those hosts are women. So it's like, when you surround yourself with women and say that you want women's empowerment and equality and things like that, you got to speak up. So that's why I felt like it was super important for me to say everything that I just said, because, we got to hold it down for our ladies, man. Like, and one last thing I'll say is this also proves that just because somebody sues you rather than taking it the criminal route does not mean they're lying. The reason why a lot of times women will do that is because you don't need as much of a burden of proof when it comes to a civil lawsuit. You only need like 51%. Like, as long as more than half I forgot exactly how they explain it, but it's essentially like, if let's just say it's a jury, if more than half of the jury says that, votes in your favor, then it goes in your favor. Whereas in a criminal court, it's all or nothing. So that's why a lot of times people do that, because these types of cases are hard to prove if there's no physical evidence at the time. You know what I mean? So I just want to mention that as well. Like, just because you hear a lawsuit and somebody's, asking for a lot of money and they're saying all this heinous shit in the lawsuit, again, just wait. Don't, condemn either way or anything. Wait till some evidence comes out and then make your decision. And, I think that taught us that right here. So fuck Sean. That's all I got.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I'm glad that you cleared it up too, because that is definitely a common misconception that people have about civil and criminal cases and whether or not people are telling the truth. And then another part of this is that, like you said, Cassie had a lot of other allegations in her initial lawsuit before that they settled. And what she also mentioned were other incidents, but also she mentioned a bodyguard that was around for a lot of these things. And I saw that, he has been on a few different podcasts, blogs, and different shows and stuff like that. And so people are trying to condemn him now and trying to say that, the people around him should have said something. But the thing is that, like, the bodyguard was hired by Sean Combs. And from what he's saying, and from even what Cassie said in her initial lawsuit, he was trying to help them get out of the situation. I guess apparently he was around for Kim Porter and he was around for Cassie. And so Cassie even said that he encouraged her to leave, to get away, and just try and stay the hell away from Sean Combs. Apparently he was around for, he recently told a story about Kim Porter and I guess Diddy getting into a physical altercation in a car, and then her coming out and basically telling Sean that, like, if that happens again, I'm gonna scratch your face and you're gonna have to explain to paparazzi and to everybody like why your face is all scratched up. So, it also opens up different rumors that we've heard over the years about not just his temper, but like him putting his hands on women, especially Kim Porter as one of those women. Wasn't that like I don't know if you guys have heard about that,
100%.
but yeah, like I think that there was one that was going around about her nose at one point. Like he had punched her in the nose. I don't know if it's true, but allegedly they said like he broke her nose. I don't know what you guys had heard.
I didn't hear anything in particular other than just like incidents of, like did he be putting his hands on her, like just sort of in a general sense. I never really heard anything specific. But what I will say also is when it comes to victims of abuse, because I heard this, I forgot where I heard this, but they were like, there's no way that people around him didn't know that he was like this because of how comfortable he did it in public and things of that nature. What I'll also say to that is, while there is a piece of me that agrees with that, like, yeah, you were that blatant, you probably do this around at least somebody else that you are comfortable enough with, they're not going to say nothing or whatever. But another piece of me says, a lot of times abusers know how to abuse without getting caught, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So, like, they're not going to hit you in the face where you're going to bruise. They're not going to smack you where they're going to have to explain it, in public and things like that. They're going to hit you. They're going to give you body shots. And, the places where you're naturally going to cover up anyway with your clothing is more than likely where they would do the damage at. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think my grandma was walking around with black eyes. You know what I'm saying? But she might have been walking around with some cracked ribs. You know what I mean? That type of shit. So let's not, just because there wasn't anything visible like in public or anything like that, like, I'm going to dead all those narratives now, because from what we saw, like any of those questions that people have, or, I don't know if I believe, like, that should dead it all right there. Like, everything that we think that skeptically about can actually be true at the same time, so
yeah, especially
all those different stories about like different women that we've heard stories about him with, even just from the rappers. Like,
Thank you. I'm
so
glad you
like
brought that up.
even the rappers, like I now question everything about that whole Meek Mill story.
I
Like,
question everything about his whole history. Like, let's really go
yeah,
through the checklist, right?
I just only said Meek Mill because that's the most current one that we know of, that people have talked about.
And speak on
But
it. Speak
there's
on
all,
it in a
but
minute.
Shane is right. It's not just him. It's a
Yeah.
long list.
Speak on Meek in a minute, because I'll let you dive and get into there. But Craig Mack, this nigga joined a cult and died. Like, he died not that long ago. You know what I mean? He went down south, joined a cult. What the fuck? Okay. Then we have the Locks, you know what I mean, who infamously threatened Diddy's life on the radio because he was still in charge of their publishing. And if you listen to some Jadakiss records, I think on the last Kiss album, he was basically talking about how they were having to sell drugs on the road while they were on tour with Rough Riders just to make ends meet because Diddy was taking all of their publishing. You get what I'm saying? So, like, then Biggie dies. You know what I mean? Shine gets locked up, which now we find out, you know what I mean? In all likelihood, he wasn't even the trigger man. Diddy was the trigger man, allegedly pulled the gun from J-Lo's purse, shot the woman in the face. The woman comes out and says, Shine didn't shoot me, Diddy did. Now, granted, I don't know why you waited this long to say something, but, you know, Shine been out for a while now, but he's in Belize, you know what I mean? He can't even come to America. He had to become like a government official in Belize in order to be able to travel to America, because now he's like a representative. So he's, you know, so it makes it different. But when he was just regular Shine, fresh out of prison, he wasn't even allowed in the country. He got deported. So it's like, all of these Heavy D's dead. You know what I'm saying? Kim Porter's dead. Like, what good has come from anybody that's around this nigga outside of French Montana? That's really the only nigga I can think of that's doing okay that was ever affiliated with this nigga Diddy. Stevie J was
even
a
Danny
clown. Like,
Kane.
after, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Stevie J just messing with Biggie's ex. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, that's a long time ago and all of this, but that's still weird. Like, that's still weird. You were my mans, and now I'm at, like, because I was cool with you and Diddy, and now you're gone, and now I'm gonna get with your ex-wife. Like, that's weird. So
the circle is weird, yeah. For
It
sure.
is.
You know what I mean? Like, there's just too much, you know. So, and then the Meek shit, Eric. What? Go ahead.
Like, is the second that Meek gets out, like he has a little bit of momentum. He's like starting to like kind of pick up his shit and figure out who he is. Then all of a sudden he starts like linking up with Diddy, and shit just got really weird really fast. All these pictures start leaking out of them in very suggestive situations, and then during kind of that whole Meek Twitter storm of him trying to prove he wasn't gay, a lot of rumors started swirling around about escapades with him involved with Diddy, and possibly Diddy making him do a lot of shit for him. So it was just, again, it's a lot of weird shit. I've seen weird pictures of him and Lil Baby online. Like, it's a lot of different people, not just the past. Like, he's still doing this weird ass behavior to this day.
Yeah, I think that.
Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, I think that another thing is that people are also, well, one, I think some of these things are a little bit like, you know, internet conspiracy theories and people kind of reaching in certain situations. But I do think that Diddy has a reputation of moving weird, of having weird preferences, and just being peculiar in general. And then we already know he has a temperament. We've seen all the TV shows, a lot of them produced by him and his team. So it's not like we can't connect the dots that like there is a problems back there where, you know, his team can't even control him. And there's always been like this weird shady situation with his artists. Like Danny Kane has definitely come out before. I guess the only people who didn't sign NDAs were Aubrey and D Woods. And Aubrey has been super vocal for years about her situation with him. You know, Mace had a whole situation with him for years. And so, yeah, I think that it's definitely making people go back and reinvestigate the situations and be like, we have to do another look over. And what was that whole situation with they did like name Meek Mill even in some court document even. So Yeah,
He was in
even
that
he.
lawsuit that producer who was suing Diddy, who said that, like, now I actually don't believe that lawsuit. I feel like a lot of that is made up because, like, just some of the claims in there are ridiculous. Like, I Diddy told me that I could write him these songs or write him his album, and he would give me his mansion in Florida. Like, he didn't tell you that. That's some,
No.
Bro.
you know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, so that makes me not believe a lot of the other shit you're saying in it.
Yeah.
And it was in that lawsuit, I want to say, where he was naming, or well, he wasn't naming them. He was just providing so much context that there was no way you didn't know who he was saying that it was, and he was, naming different people in the lawsuit saying, yeah, did he be messing with them too? Like, so
Got you.
well,
Okay.
that's how that happened. But his reaction to it is what made it bad because academics came out and was like, yo, basically Meek Mill was good, Freak Mill and all of that kind of stuff. And then on Twitter, he just went way overboard trying to defend himself. And it was
Yeah,
like,
he defended himself
like,
way too hard.
yeah. So but let's not forget also, speaking of Diddy's temper, this nigga, Diddy, Sean Combs, he slapped Drake over the 0 to 100 beat.
Is
He
that
slapped J. Cole
that's
too.
true?
That seems to be true.
Yeah, that was true. That was true.
That seems like that really happened.
Yeah.
What?
Didn't he slap J. Cole too?
I never heard that one, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I thought I'm pretty sure he did.
I looked into that. I don't know. They they said that there was like a moment. There was supposedly like a heated conversation, but and then J. Cole was escorted out afterwards. So there was something that happened, but supposedly the next day they chopped it up and they aired things out. But you never know with these freaking stories. Is it true, or is that just like the team working their PR magic and smoothing things over for the fans and all that kind of stuff? So we've always known that he's had a temperament though, because if we watched any of those old making the band shows, and even when he was there was another show where he was like an entrepreneur and he had to like hire an assistant, and he was super hard to freaking please, and he was like throwing things at people, he was freaking out, and these are shows that like he was producing on, so he knew what it was looking like, you know what I mean? And even though some people are like, yeah, reality TV is scripted, whatever, sometimes yes, but sometimes like people are really having real moments, or it's coming from a real place, so we've seen it for years that it's been bubbling out, but this is the first time that we saw it on camera and that candid for real, and to see it on a woman was just crazy. Thankfully, Cassie already got her money, she's settled, and doesn't have to continue to have to go through court for this situation. But the public, going over every single situation and going over photos. Did you guys see that they were looking at photos to see if she had bruises at different events?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. Like, that's exactly what I'm saying. If you're looking for that type of shit to try to prove something, you most likely aren't going to find it, because you have to also remember, right? This is a billionaire. You know what I'm saying? Now, whatever you morally think of that, you know what I mean? You do have to be smart. You have to be intelligent in order to make it that far in life to become a billionaire. You know what I'm saying? Unless you just inherited all of it, which we know he didn't. He's from New York. You know what I'm saying? He's from Harlem. You know what I'm saying? His dad was a drug dealer and shit. He didn't inherit his billions. We know this. So it's like, okay, I'll give you that. You're smart enough, you're intelligent enough at business and being savvy enough to climb the ranks to become a billionaire. So you're a smart person. So that means also you're a strategist and you think ahead. You know what I mean? So these are the things that I think about. And then you pair those qualities with an abuser. You're not going to just
psychopath level type shit.
It literally is.
Because at that point, you have to think so far ahead of everything that you're doing but again, all of it is evil shit. So it's like you have to constantly think about, how am I going to cover up for this? How am I going to cover up for this? Like, but play it out constantly, because in this person's mind, they know how they're going to react.
That's why he's drunk all the time and why he parties so much, probably because he's battling demons. Like he knows all the dark shit he's done. And if you have any ounce of humanity in you, that's got to eat at you. So if it's eating at you because of the bad shit you've done, what's a way to numb that shit? Just party all the time, be drunk all the time. I got Ciroc, I got champagne, I'm doing it up, and just present your life as a party. If you never have to think about the shit that you really are doing, then you know what I mean? Like, because really think about who else his age acts like him. Jay-Z's not out here wilding on yachts, partying with, you know what I'm saying? Like, Granby's married and shit, but still, like, him and Beyonce could be doing all of that if they want to together, and it would be, we would look at it like, oh shit, they just lit. You know what I'm saying? But no, they're in their 50s and shit. Well, Jay is, and they're chilling. You know what I'm saying? Like, he might go out every now and then, do a toast, you know, shit like that. 50 Cent, not outside wilding. You know what I'm saying? He's beefing with everybody, which is hilarious, but he's not outside wilding. Like, whenever you see him get into it, usually it's somebody coming to him on some bullshit and he's chilling and then he's reacting. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't see 50 being the aggressor in public, like at people. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's a different thing. Like, Diddy is the only one who acts like Diddy.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and then also what I also worry about for real is the fact that he still has like his daughters and stuff. For Sean Combs, like his daughters are still really young, and then to worry about his temper, you know what I mean, and not having their mom around, you also have to take a step back and keep that perspective as well. Like, what is going to happen? What, you know, with them and what happens behind closed doors over there. Like, hopefully there's somebody there to try and protect them as well. And it's crazy to think that you would worry about that for somebody's dad, but you have to think about these things when you see videos like this and you hear about what he did allegedly to his mom, to their mother. So
his mom, the daughter, and did you guys hear that rumor? To his own mom. Did you hear about this? I heard
no, I didn't even know that
before.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
That's crazy. Like, you slap your own mom, bro. That's insane.
Wow.
Like, I don't know if that's true, but that's a rumor that's out there. And again, I don't doubt it.
You a different type of nigga if you slap your own mom.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you slapping your kid's mom, you slapping your current woman, your own mom, like, and then we can realistically get off it, because we got a happy part of the bad boy legacy to discuss too, so we're gonna get there. But what I'll say also is, when damn, I lost my train of thought. Ain't that a bitch? Ain't that a bitch?
I kind of saw it leaving too.
You saw
it running off the tracks. I know when it's happening.
Damn,
I know when it's happening.
We've all been there.
Hell yeah.
Don't worry
anyway,
about it.
Well, fuck that nigga Diddy then. Let's get off that nigga.
Yeah, seriously.
No Diddy.
I hope that any other victims.
Actually important. This is actually important. I'm glad I got it back. King Combs, his son.
Yeah, that I wanted to bring him up too. Actually, I'm glad you brought that.
I wasn't necessarily mad at him going at 50. You know what I'm saying? Because 50 been coming at your dad for years or whatever. Like, you a rapper now, so okay, I get it. But for him to come out and say, why is everybody tripping on this when they settled it at the time it happened? This is in their past. Why is everybody else worried about it? To me, that there's a mindset there of either it's one of a few things. He is so used to seeing this from his dad that it's just regular. And he's like, why are y'all tripping? Like, this is just how we get down. Or I'm wondering, is there separation in the way, because you brought up his daughters, is there separation in the way he treats his sons versus his daughters, where his sons feel like that's okay to treat women like that? Did they grow up hitting their sisters? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's all these other dynamics now to it. Or is he like a super hypocrite and he's like, nobody better not ever touch my daughters, but I will, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's King Combs' reaction. Again, I understand it's your dad, but your best reaction is to just be quiet, because your dad's a monster. So you can't defend monster shit. You know what I'm saying? I understand if you don't want to shit on him because that's your dad, but you just can't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because not everybody looking at you.
Not right now. Not until you find out what, like the investigation, kind of like with everyone else, especially when we see you getting handcuffed for it. And, especially like even if what if they had found something and then they take you to court, they're bringing up those lyrics. You
Yes.
might
And
want to
then you're
say
gonna
freedom of
rap in the
speech.
song about oh, you guys raided the wrong house. You should have went to the one next door. That's where the real shit is at. It's like, what are you doing?
Bugging.
You're not being smart.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at
So
all.
I just wanted to talk about that, how that could be psychologically affecting him because of who his dad is. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all these things that we gotta kind of keep in mind, like, and to anybody watching, you know what I mean? Like, um, you know, I don't want anybody to wait too long to speak out. I know why it's hard sometimes to speak out in the moment when shit's going on, but you don't want to wait too late. That's all.
Right. Yeah.
On that
Absolutely.
I
note,
agree.
now I'm off this nigga.
Yes. Until the next update, because why? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be more.
Oh yeah.
All right.
That's
Okay.
it.
So on a lighter note, let's talk about the Notorious B.I.G.'s
On a lighter and
birthdays.
heavier note at the same time.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. I even realize you're right. It is because it's his heavenly birthday. So we definitely wanted to examine the Notorious B.I.G.'s lyrics, some of our favorite lyrics from him anyway. So, Eric, do you want to start it off? What is one of your favorite verses or favorite lyrics from B.I.G.?
I really like Biggie's verse on Mo Money Mo Problems. Um, I think Shane kind of said it earlier. Like he has a certain Biggie has a very like distinct flow pattern, and I think this was the one where he kind of showcased it off like the most with the BIGPOPPA no info for the DEA federal agents mad because I'm flagrant. Like he has these little patterns that like he likes to get into, but I feel like the reason why we like fell in love with Big so much is because he was kind of like one of the first rappers we heard like kind of like play with like different flow patterns and like kind of like stick to them in like different songs. So it was almost like a distinction. Like a Biggie verse when you hear it because not only because of the voice, but because of like the cadence, like the tap my cell and my phone in the basement. My team supreme, stay clean, triple beam, lyrical dream, and I be that cat you see at all the events. Like I just love the way that he breaks up his words and chooses where to place them depending on how the beat is flowing on the song. So yeah, I just really I love that beginning little stretch because he's picking little different parts everywhere through that beginning part to like put down different shit. And that's what made that verse so iconic in the first place.
This is actually a perfect example of what I was talking about. Like, because I got the lyrics up too. So this is exactly what I mean right here. So right after the federal agents mad because I'm flagrant, tap my cell and the phone in the basement. So after that, he just gets into that kind of signature Biggie flow where he goes, my team supreme, stay clean, triple beam, lyrical dream. I be that, catch a seat at all events bent. Gats in holsters, girls on shoulders, playboy. I told you, me. See, he's not rhyming at the end of the bars. He's just rhyming random shit, and it just sounds
Yeah.
like big. Nobody else raps like that, so that's a good choice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That is a good choice. Damn. Mastery. For real. Okay. All right. So, Shane, do you want to go next with your pick?
Yeah, I'll go next. So mine is actually for the opposite reason of Eric. So I chose I Love the Dough, featuring Jay-Z. And I feel like this is actually Biggie kind of getting out of his signature flow and doing more of a traditional rap flow. And he just basically shows that even when he's doing, what I would consider a traditional flow, he's still doper than most dudes. You know what I mean? So I'm popping magnums while Jigga bags some. Watches platinum, got jet lag from flights back and forth. Pop the Pop corks of the best grapes, make the best CDs and the best tapes. Don't forget the vinyl. Take girls, break spinals. Biggie be Richie like Lionel. Shit. You seen the Jesus dipped in H classes, Ice Project, off lights, chick flashes, blind your broke asses. Even the rocks and beards and mustaches. Rock top fashions. Ain't shit changed except the number after the dot on the range. Way niggas look at me now, kind of strange. I hate y'all too. Rather be in Caribbean sands with Rachel. Like he's like I said, he's doing more of a traditional flow, but it's like effortless for him almost. Like he's still effortlessly doing like multiple rhymes within each bar, and so I appreciate that.
Who's personally like better?
Things about rap is when people I like a lot of rhyming. You know what I mean? I like a lot of rhyming. So when people can figure out different ways to place rhymes in between other rhymes and do all that type of shit, I just find a deep appreciation for it. Shout out to Big. Shout out to I Love the Dough. Shout out to Jay.
Which verse do you prefer, Jay or Biggie's on this one?
On this song, I know Jay's verse better, but that it comes first too, though.
Right.
So I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
I know, because I flip flop a lot.
I flip flop on this one too.
Sometimes I think Jay, sometimes I think Big.
Yeah, because Jay was snapping. So.
I know, that's why it's a hard choice. I'm like, I can never really pick a winner on that one. But like,
when Biggie says
if I had to pick
like,
definitively, I would probably say Jay, if I had to.
But see, it's just like Biggie says stuff like this, and because you know me, Eric, you know I like when people make basic things sound really dope. So like he says, flights back and forth, pop corks are the best grapes, make the best CDs and the best tapes. Don't forget the vinyl. Like, there's no difference. Like, you're making the same music. It's just gonna go on CDs, tapes, and possibly vinyl. Like,
right?
Nigga, we make the best CDs and we make the best tapes, nigga. Like, so I just think that's fire. And then pop corks are the best grapes. Like, that's just a cool way to say we're drinking champagne or drinking wine. You know what I'm saying? So it's I just like that verse. I don't know. Like,
I feel
creativity. You. I like that too. Okay. All right, fellas. Well, then I guess I'll give you guys my favorite Biggie lyrics. So for me, it has to be Warning. And it's just because the creativity, kind of like what you guys said, I really just love the story that he tells and the imagery that comes up when you're listening to it. Yeah. So like you can see him at home when he says this. He says, "Who the hell is this paging me at 5:46 in the morning, crack of dawn? And now I'm yawning, wipe the cold out my eye. See who's this paging me and why. It's my man Pop from the barbershop. Told me he was in the gambling spot and heard the intricate plot. Some people want to stick me from my fly paper neighborhood. Slow down, love. Please chill, drop the caper. Remember all the peoples from the hill up in Brownsville that you rolled dice with, smoked, and got nice with. Yeah, little fame up in Prospect. Nah, they're my peoples. Nah, love wouldn't disrespect." So he's like, nah, like I fuck with them heavy. But his dude is like, nah, I'm not even talking about them. He's like, I didn't say them. They schooled me to some chumps that you knew from back when you was clocking minor figures. Now they heard you're blowing up like nitro and they want to stick the knife through your windpipe slow. And it's like, damn. So, you know, he's like telling him,
for warning me, because now I'm warning you. I got the Mac, nigga. Tell me what you want to do.
Right.
Exactly. So it's like, okay, so you got woken up out of your sleep, you being told about this whole story about, you know, the people from around the block who fuck with you heavy. You heard that these other dudes been plotting on you because now you're making a lot of money. It's like, oh, okay, so let me get the fuck up out of bed and do what I gotta do. And then the next verse, he just explains like how him and his people move, call the coroner, and all that shit. And so I just love that the story that he told. And I just wish sometimes like nowadays people would do more of a story too. A lot of times it's just like, oh, let me make a catchy hook, and you know, all that stuff is great, but back then, you know, they really cared about albums and shit, you know, taking your time listening to stuff. So I wish that people would, if you're gonna make a song about, you know, sneaking up on the ops, or the ops about to, you know, come get you or whatever, Like, let's be creative. Let's, give me a story. Don't just tell me everything at one time. You know what I mean? And then, goddamn, like, he did so much in there. You know what I mean? In just the first verse. So
You were
that's what I
reading
was
my
saying.
mind,
The
Alex.
last good track I heard like that from like a relatively newer rapper or a modern rapper was Back Being Bull by YG. That song, he's telling a story the whole time.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying? And
That's surprising from YG.
he actually does that a few times on that album. On My Crazy Life, he tells stories a couple of times, like just from a gangbanger West Coast perspective. But
Oh, that's dope.
I will also say King Von was good at that.
King Von was amazing at that, actually.
Yeah,
That was
he
his
was
shit.
very good at that.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Lil Fame, because that's a real dude. He's from MOP, the rap group MOP. That was if you're a little bit younger, they were signed to G Unit for a little bit, but before that, they had the track Annie Up, which was real heavy. Like in the late 90s, early 2000s, that was a big track. So yeah, shout out Lil Fame for warning Biggie. You know what I'm saying? Or warning Biggie's mans so that he could warn Biggie. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. He was definitely keeping it. He was holding it down for him for sure. You definitely want to have good people like that around.
Is some of that story real then? Like, because you name somebody who we know, like Lil Fame, we know who that is. So
that's
possibly
true.
He really hit somebody up, and you know what I'm saying? Like, here a nigga plotting on you. Like, did that really happen?
Right.
I mean, I don't doubt it. I mean, he was living a crazy life. I mean, he passed away so young, right?
Yeah.
So I don't doubt it.
And back then, like a lot of times, because like now, a lot of times, rappers will either have money when they come in the game. Like when we first hear about them, they already popping where they from and got money a little bit. So a lot of times they'll be kind of removed already by the time we finally hear who they are. Or like the masses, you know what I'm saying, outside of their region or whatever. Whereas back in those days, like Biggie was signed to Bad Boy, probably didn't have that much of like an advance or anything to like be able to move out of Brooklyn. So he was probably becoming Biggie still living in Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not like anybody that you had beef with a few weeks ago when you were still selling drugs and now you're not selling drugs and you rapping. They ain't forgot that shit. They don't give a fuck that you rap now. You know what I'm saying? You robbed them a few weeks ago or you did whatever. You feel what I'm saying?
Just did that like 2 weeks ago, nigga. We ain't forget that.
Yeah, like nigga, just because you decided to stop and you rapping now, nigga, I'm still out here, so I need my get back, you know.
Or like,
so
what if their family members
with a lot of that with a lot of these rappers in the 90s, especially like when their first album was coming out, they were still doing what they had to do, you know what I mean, on a daily. They weren't living good like that yet. That was in the videos and shit, but that wasn't in real life yet. You know what I'm saying? Like that was probably his real life on the second album. You know what I mean? He was probably getting to that place, but when Ready to Die came out, when Warning came out, that very well could have been a real story.
Right.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. So yeah, I mean, it definitely is kind of one of those, it's like kind of creepy, but at the same time, it's like a really good song. But it has that weird, like, it's a good warning for other generations. Like this shit is not for play. Like y'all really got to be careful, and you can have so much talent and it could be, taken away from you because of situations like this, like just random people talking shit because of something crazy that happened back in the day or whatever it is. Yeah. And if you still stay around the block or if your family members, that's what I was going to say. It's like, a lot of times people move and they get out of it, but your family's still around. So you got to be mindful of like what you say in these songs.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah. But, all right, fellas, I don't know if there's anything else you guys saw in the news or anything else we got to discuss that happened this week.
Nothing really pressing. Nothing that I really noticed. Things kind of have finally died down after the whole Kendrick and Drake thing.
Right.
Everybody's breathing again. I will say Not Like Us is number one, which is dope. My boy Blaine in Michigan, he hit me up and was like, I was downtown Detroit and I was walking to my car. He was like, it was like a 5-minute walk to my car, and I heard 3 different cars playing Not Like Us. You know what I'm saying? So that might be the song of the summer. You know what I mean? But outside of that, You know, so it seems like shit's calming down a little bit.
Yeah,
Ross didn't respond to game, so it looks like that's not going to go nowhere. So
nah.
I didn't
you
think
know,
he would.
I think we chilling for now.
Yep. I will say, the only like recent news that I heard that I am excited about is Vince Staples is dropping his final album on Def Jam
Hmm.
in like either I think this Friday or next Friday. I don't remember which, but
Okay.
one of the two. One of the two. He just dropped like a video and shit like the other day, so I'm ready for that.
Review of that then, because I think
Yeah.
that's a younger dude that Marcus would appreciate too. Because you know he doesn't like Vince Staples is very different than everybody else.
And he don't even sound like a West Coast nigga all the time.
Right, like his voice does, and like the stuff he
Right.
raps about is, but like sonically, like the music he raps on,
That's
like
more what I meant. Yeah.
style, like a lot of that shit is very. You're right. You're right.
On
Hell
some
yeah.
Earl sweatshirt type shit, almost damn near.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, he really is. Exactly.
Damn near, like beat selection wise, like them
Yeah.
niggas are all over the place beat selection wise. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what that reminds me of.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison. And he had that show on Netflix, so everybody got to see a different side of him as well. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So it's definitely, yeah, I can't wait to hear that album as well. And then also I wonder what he's gonna do, if he's gonna go with the new label or if he's gonna just go independent now that he's had so much
No
success
events, he's
lately.
probably gonna go independent.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think so because he's kind of he talks a lot of he sounds a lot like Nipsey when he talks. As far as you know, ownership and you know not being a slave to the man and all of that kind of stuff. Like, so I definitely feel like he would be one to want to take his career in his own hands. Shout out to Vince. Shout out to Vince.
Yeah.
Vince's less Sean's.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. All right. I couldn't agree with that more. I think that's a really good note to leave it on. All right, guys. Well, I hope that everybody at home liked listening and watching this episode of Bar Exam. We always love to hear from you guys. So be sure to comment and let us know if we missed anything or if there's anything else that you want to add to the conversation. We love hearing from you. Definitely check us out on the Ethos Media Network YouTube page and the Patreon page, where you guys can get even more candid and full episodes of Bar Exam. And, you know, we also like to do little team ups and different interviews on there. So there's plenty of content for you guys. But you guys can check us out every Monday, new drops on our YouTube page. But we will see you guys on the next Bar Exam. Bye, guys.